Say it now. Say the obvious prediction right now.
The Stars are going to win the Stanley Cup.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Starcastic Remarks, the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. Be sure to go to DraftKings, use that promo code THPN to get some free goodies. Dallas Stars are dominated, absolutely decimated. Final score 5-2 for the Edmonton Oilers. And I know I've thrown out the worst game that the Stars have played in the playoffs title a couple of times this year, but man, obviously found one tonight. The Stars have a great first 10 minutes tonight, and after that, the final 50 are all Edmonton. From the first media timeout on, the Edmonton Oilers absolutely dominated Dallas Stars in every single aspect of the game, from goaltending to defense to offense to puck battles to races to literally everything. There is no facet of the Dallas Stars game that looked good after the first 10 minutes. I'm Chris. I'm joined by nobody tonight. Tough game for me to be alone with, so y'all help me out in the comments. I'll probably be sure to pull up a couple of those once we get going here. I'm going to give a quick rundown of the game, and we'll get right into that. But game started off great. I mean, first minute was really kind of choppy. I mean, game couldn't get going. Tons of whistles, back and forth, up and down the ice with icings, offsides, out of play pucks, you name it. And the Stars took advantage of that, actually. They get a goal from Wyatt Johnston after odd man rush. Great pass from Jamie Benn, who had a great night tonight. Great shot from Wyatt Johnston. Just beat Stuart Skinner on the glove hand side high. Wicked shot. Absolutely amazing shot from Wyatt Johnston. A little bit of a question there from Stuart Skinner on missing that too. I mean, it's a great shot from Johnston, but it's also he could see it the whole way. I think he was right at the faceoff dot, so it wasn't like he was right and tight, but nonetheless, great shot for Wyatt Johnston and great way to start the game. I mean, it was a weird start. Stars took advantage. Great job. From that point on, the next 5 minutes are all Dallas. They're going downhill. They're keeping the puck in the zone. They're cycling well in those first 5 minutes, and then they get a little gift from Nurse Nurse's booty giveth and taketh away. It goes off Nurse's button into the net this time instead of off of his button out of the net. So Esa Lindell ends up getting a weird one. He's trying to get a deflection there from Stankoven up high, and we get a lucky one there. But Stars were rolling at that point. Even after this Lindell goal, the Stars keep going. I mean, they're rolling in the offensive zone. They're taking it to them. They're winning every puck battle down deep in the Oilers zone, getting it up high, getting pucks on net, making good passes in the offensive zone, getting through the neutral zone easy. And we're not able to find another one. There's a couple of great chances. There's a chance from Duchesne in the first period. There's a chance from there's that breakaway that Skinner makes a big save on, which is a big deal in that period. You go up 3-1 there. I feel like this could be very different. But then we head into the first media timeout. I mean, you go into that first media timeout, you're feeling great. Stars are rolling. They're going downhill. They're winning puck battles. They're playing exactly like they did in the second period of the last game. It looks like they're picking up right where they left off. And from that first media timeout, I don't know what happened at that Oilers bench, but it was a complete turnaround. The Oilers were charging downhill ever since. I think it was about the 12-minute mark of the first period. So a little bit less than 10 minutes of good hockey from Dallas. But Oilers are all over them. And even in those first 5 minutes that the Oilers started playing good, the Stars are playing good defense. They're keeping the puck out of the middle of the ice in their own zone. They're keeping the attempts to the outside. The Oilers are starting to get some shots at this point, but they're pretty rudimentary, pretty easy saves for Ottinger to make. And then the Ryan McLeod goal goes in. It's a move by Knobloch. He puts in McLeod and Perry, both coming in tonight for the first time in this series, and they score the first goal to get the Oilers back in this game off of a really just funky play. Otter makes the first save with the pad, and Suter is trying to hold off the first forechecker, I think, which is Perry, and ends up just falling on Otter, which doesn't allow Otter to pick up the rebound, and Suter's not strong enough to get back to clear that puck, and it leaves a wide open net for McLeod. And really, just in my opinion, that's a really bad play by Suter there. I mean, it's weak to try and get back to the puck to clear it, and then he falls on top of Ottinger. The body awareness to be able to avoid that is something you got to have in that moment. You got to be able to avoid that and give Otter a chance to cover that puck after he makes the initial save on the half breakaway, and he's not able to do it. And really frustrating play from Otter there. Then about 3 minutes later, McDavid gets a 2-on-1 against Suter again. He makes a great shot pass. It's a pass off of Otter's pad on the far side. Otter's not able to kick it out because it's a hard enough pass that he's got to just put the pad on it and doesn't have time to react and make the kick to the corner like we've seen him do so many times. Rebound goes off that right pad straight to Bouchard, who another slam dunk wide open net. And just like that, it's 2-2 for the Oilers. After the Stars dominate the first 10 minutes, the Oilers dominate even more so in the second 10 minutes of the first period. And in that first intermission, all anyone is able to talk about is, man, that period was just the first and second period from last game, but it just happened in 20 minutes instead of 40. And that seemed pretty true. And the Oilers were rolling at that point. You come out into the second period, I am fully expecting the Stars to have a response to that, because that is the biggest push we've seen from the Oilers in this series. And to happen in the middle of the period, too, is really impressive from the Oilers. So you got to think the Stars are going to have a response to that. And there's really not one. I mean, the Oilers are still pushing. It's not as bad as it was at the end of the first period, a little bit more back and forth, but there's absolutely no offensive zone time for the Stars. The forecheck is non-existent after the first period. Doesn't exist at all. They're getting one shot, they're out of the zone immediately. If they miss one pass, out of the zone immediately, going the other way, and most of the times with an odd man rush. And that's something that the Oilers did great tonight. Their transition game was superb. Anytime there was a missed pass, weak forecheck off of a chip in, Oilers were going the other direction immediately with speed through the neutral zone. The neutral zone was free and clear for the Oilers tonight. So many 3-on-2s. And luckily for the Stars in the first half of that second period, they're getting outplayed. Not as badly, but they're still getting outplayed. It doesn't cost them. Otter's able to make a couple of big saves in the first half of that second period. Oilers aren't able to get exactly what they want. And then mercifully, the game's still 2-2 at this point. The Stars get a power play off of a really bad hold by the Oilers. I can't remember exactly who it is. Let me go look it up here. Yeah, Derek Ryan, 2-minute minor for holding on Matt Duchene. Pretty obvious hold there at one point when the Stars were able to actually win a puck battle deep in the offensive zone. They make one good play there and get rewarded for it. And the first power play was horrible. I mean, there was no chances. And for the first unit, they get off the ice before the 1 minute mark of that power play. Second unit comes on. We see them get into the zone for the first time in the power play. This was about a minute 15, a minute 20 into the power play. They finally get into the zone and get set up. Thomas Harley takes a shot from the point, hits a guy in the slot. I think it was a Stars player actually that it hit. Falls right to the Oilers, and they're going the other direction on a 2-on-1. And then Harley doesn't take the shot. He doesn't take the man. It's a clear pass across the crease to none other than the Dallas Stars' own Matthias Janmark. And he scores the not empty net goal, the shorthanded goal, basically again on an empty net. That's three goals for the Oilers. The first 3 goals that are basically slam dunks for them. Cross crease passes or goalie taken out of the play by their own defenseman. And it really stings to have Janmark score that goal, especially when you think about all the times Janmark had chances to score for the Stars. So he wasn't able to get it done. And he makes the big momentum swinging goal in that shorthanded goal for the Oilers. And that is a dagger for the Stars. Again, so they got a final 40 seconds the Stars do on that power play. The first unit gets back out there and again, not able to get anything done. Right after the penalty expires, Oilers go the other way. Hyman to Draisaitl. Draisaitl cans it again. No defenseman between him and Otter. Again, I don't think there's a chance for Otter on that one either. I'm not going to say Otter had a great night tonight, but all 4 of those goals try and show me where he's at fault on them. And I have a hard time. I have a hard time seeing it. I don't think he does. And Draisaitl finally gets on the board. He was held pointless the previous 2 games, which was a big key for the Stars. Stars winning those 2, in my opinion. But he gets on the board here, gets his 10th goal of the playoffs. Dude is having an insane run right now. And that goal is really a dagger to the Stars. I mean, giving those 2 up within a minute of each other. You go from a 2-0 lead to a 4-2 deficit after you had a chance to take your lead back. I mean, quite the turn of momentum there. The Stars had a chance to claw something away that they shouldn't have had. They shouldn't have had to lead at that point. They shouldn't have had a power play at that point. They weren't the ones buzzing. And they get it, and they squander it. So now the Stars power play 0 for 9 after tonight, after another power play that the Stars had in the third period that was equally as awful. And they're actually a -1 on those 9 power plays. They've given up 1 shorthanded goal, haven't scored any on the power play. And that's the only special teams goal that has happened in this playoffs. If you said that there was 1 special teams goal through 4 games of this series, I mean, Stars should at least be up 3-1 on that. At least 3-1 in games. If there's 1 special teams goal and it's a shorthanded goal. And yet here we are. Series tied 2-2. Going to the third period. All right, you've had a whole period of still getting beat. Surely you got to have a response. No response. Stars don't have a response in the third period. Oilers are playing solid defense, getting back in their zone quickly, getting tons of support to their defensemen so they're able to easily and clearly clear the zone. The only way the Stars are able to enter the zone in this is if they get a little creative pass in the neutral zone to try and get past the blue line. Any kind of dump and chase, immediately lose the battle, immediately gets cleared. Half the time, the Stars didn't have a guy on the puck whenever there was a dump in for the Stars. I mean, it was so slow, so weak on each forecheck. I think the only guy forechecking really well tonight was Stankoven, and all 5'10" of them was getting in there and trying to get the puck, and he got it a couple times. But when you only got 1 player and it's your smallest guy is your best forechecker of the night, I mean, you've got problems there. The Stars end up actually getting a power play late in the third period. And you got to think, if there's ever a time to break this penalty kill for the Oilers that's been so dominant all playoffs long, it's right now. I mean, this would be the perfect time to try and steal a game that you shouldn't be in, get a goal here. You've got all the momentum going into late in the third period. Who knows what happens? And the power play is the worst one I think we've seen maybe in the calendar year. I can't recall one that was worse. The Oilers don't let the Stars into the zone. I think they technically got one shot off of a rush, and it was an absolute dominant power play for the Oilers. Oilers fans are on their feet after that, rightfully so. I mean, it was a great kill. Stars couldn't get a whisper in a time where they absolutely needed it most, and they don't even get momentum, don't get a look, don't get anything off of it. It was awful. It's absolutely terrible. No other way to put it. Stars pull the goalie, try and get something done. Nothing comes on that 6-on-5. They're still losing puck battles, still losing races. When they're 6-on-5, they're losing to the Oilers on puck battles on the boards. Oilers were just dominant on puck battles from the 10-minute mark in the first period all the way on, all the way through. Oilers fans complained about before this game, man, if we could just get a full game effort, if we just get a full, even most of the game effort, if we could get that, we could dominate. If we could get that first period that we had in game 3 and keep that going, we could be great. And that's exactly what they got. They got 50 minutes of period 1 of game 3. And they absolutely dominated the Stars for the entirety of this game after the 10-minute mark. And this is the Oilers team that can win the Stanley Cup. When Oilers fans have hope, this is the team that can do it. I mean, I don't know what team on earth could beat this Oilers team. I wish the Stars showed a little bit more heart on that forecheck. It seemed like there was a want to. It seemed like there was a willingness to scrap on the boards, but Stars could never come out with the puck. Couldn't get to races. I mean, any time there was a race to the puck, Oilers got to it every single time. Let me look up from my phone a little bit, and we'll try and get to some comments. Actually, before I do that, Chris Tanev gets a shot block late in the second period, right off the ankle. He hobbles down to the tunnel, doesn't come back for the rest of the game. And when the Stars are already, I mean, we're playing an AHL defenseman right now in the 6th spot. And to not have Chris Tanev, who closed down Nathan MacKinnon, who was closing down Draisaitl for the last 2 games, no points for Draisaitl. And he goes to tunnel, doesn't come back. I mean, your mind immediately goes to broken ankle. What happens then? You're going to have Petrovic, Nils Lundqvist as a bottom pair. And against this team, that's terrifying, especially when you're playing in Edmonton. Edmonton got all the matchups that they wanted tonight. Their top guys were playing against the Marchment, Duchesne, Pavelski line the whole time, and they rolled over them. They were dominating that line. The Duchesne, Pavelski, and Marchment line could not defend against the Oilers' top guys. And I mean, you got to give Knobloch some credit. He makes the right move, putting in Perry and McLeod. Obviously, with that first goal, even one goal between those guys that you put in is huge for them. I mean, they don't play hardly any of the game, and they are still able to get on the board. It's fantastic for them. Great move there. And then he's able to get his guys against the Stars' worst defenders consistently this game. It was incredibly impressive. Pete DeBoer had been out coaching Knobloch for the first 3 games of this series, and the response from Knobloch alone is impressive. I mean, to make that change before the game starts and then throughout the game to get your right guys on the ice was really impressive from him. And then another storyline that we got is Pavelski is moved from the Duchesne Marchment line down to the 4th line and instead, man, I cannot remember his name. This is tough to do solo. And Dodonov, thank you. Dodonov gets put in the 3rd line with those guys. And he's also taken off the first power play unit. And that just got to show you how bad Pavelski was this game and how bad he's been throughout these playoffs. I mean, we've been waiting and expecting Pavelski's going to come back. I mean, this guy was our first line winger for the entirety of the regular season. It's not like he had a steady decline as this year went along. As soon as these playoffs start, Pavs is out of it. he's not in this game. And if he's going to play on the fourth line, I mean, I wish I had someone here to push back on me on this opinion, but I don't want Pavs playing on the fourth line. If I've got to pick a fourth liner between Pavelski and Delandria, that's a tough choice for me, honestly. So that's definitely going to be a big question mark going into a game 5. So those are the two outside storylines. Other than the Stars were terrible. You got Tanev's injury. You got Pavelski's really poor play and getting demoted as this game went along. Ricky asking for Pavelski's time on ice. He still gets 1652, which is shocking, but he gets 1652 with only 19 shifts as well, which is interesting. And if you want an example for that, or kind of comparison for that, Fox gets 1043 tonight and only has 18 shifts, one less. So Pavelski's getting kind of stuck on the ice too. And you might say that that's a symptom of Pavelski being slow and not being able to get off the ice. So that's interesting. I mean, seeing Pavelski do this poorly and then getting really exposed in this game, where this game was fast. This is the fastest game we've seen this series. And he was fully exposed tonight, played terrible. He finished with a -2, I believe. Yeah, -2 for him. No shots. It was a rough game for Pavelski. Rough game for Duchesne and Marchment as well. They're both minuses. And like I said, they were paired against the Oilers top line, and the Oilers top line feasted on them. Nate here saying Father Time is undefeated and very fast. Very fast is the weird thing for me. I mean, you expect that to kind of slowly come on as the season moves along, but it just didn't happen. I mean, this playoffs, it was just all of a sudden out of the blue, Pavelski just dropped off the radar. And like I said, he's a top line winger that just doesn't happen. Interesting take here. Don't take Smith out. I don't care. He brings a lot to that line. I even said that at first of the game, he was out. DeBoer, I agree all bit that. Yeah, Foxa didn't play great tonight. He had that penalty. He had a couple of interesting plays, I might say, but his line doesn't get scored on at least. But yeah, I don't think Foxa, especially when you compare when he came into when he came in off injury last time, he scores the game-winning goal in a Game 7. It's quite the drop back from Fox, I believe. Ricky kind of agreeing. He's saying we should have put Delhi in. That little bit of speed from Delandria, I think, could have been a big deal. But it'll be interesting what happens with Pavelski there. I mean, he's obviously demoted as this game moves along. That'll be a really big storyline to look at as we move along here. Anything from the chat, you guys, that I missed before we move on to our next little segment here? Let me scroll back and see if I can miss anything. Yeah, Harley not laying down on the shorty. Yeah, giving that clear pass. He didn't take away the shot, didn't take away the pass, didn't really give Otter a chance. That it was tough. It was a bad play by Harley there, and he's had a tough series, and we're really going to need him to step up, especially if Tanev is actually hurt. I don't expect Tanev to be out next game, even if it is an ankle injury. I mean, guys are crazy. They can skate on that sometimes, especially if it's lower on the ankle. You can stick that in a boot and put some wrapping around it. You can keep going. So I expect him to be in next game, but if he's out, it's gonna be a big deal. It's gonna hurt him in a big way. Martin here is saying this is how the Oilers must have felt after Game 3, conference finals. Oilers are always going to push back. It's more how we played, but it's now how we respond in Dallas. Definitely true. Oilers had to respond after that Game 3. I think they got beaten those final 2 periods of Game 3. Even though the shots were a big difference in the third period, Stars were playing their lockdown style like they wanted to. After that goal went in, the Stars were like, all right, we're locking it down. You can have shots in the perimeter. That's what the Oilers took. But yeah, I think this is how the Oilers must have felt. But I think the Oilers played better than the Stars did last game. This is the most dominant game that I've seen of these playoffs, other than the first round. Obviously had you had Rangers versus Washington in that one, so that was tough. But it's going to be a big deal to see how the Stars respond in Game 5 here. It's got to be a first period response. I'd have to think, and it's got to be continual. And I expect Otter to have a big jump here too. I mean, we talked about those 4 goals that aren't really Otter's fault that we don't think, but this guy doesn't take playoff losses lightly. He doesn't like losing twice to the playoffs. I think he's done it 3 times in his career. And I expect a big response from him. I mean, it's something you're going to have to have, especially if Tanev is out. You're going to need to have a huge response from your goaltender. Otter hasn't stolen one in the way that we've seen some other goaltenders steal them, especially Aiden Smith. You think back to Vegas Game 3, that was a big, almost stolen game from them. So it'll be a big deal. Tanny will play and we will ride. Everyone relax. It's best of 3, no problem. I really hope Tanev plays. That's going to be a big deal. Like I said, it's going to be tough if you have Petrovic and Lundqvist as your bottom pair. That's not a very good bottom pair. So like I said, there's not really a ton to talk about because the Oilers just dominated the Stars here. So we'll go ahead. Actually, before we move into the final segment, welcome back, Edmonton Oilers fans. It's a lot more fun to troll when your team wins, isn't it? We'll have to see what happens in the final game, but we appreciate your views anyway, Edmonton fans. Appreciate it. Final segment, we're gonna go biggest winner, biggest loser. I'm gonna give my biggest loser to Ryan Suter. The first goal, I think the Stars are still playing decent defense against the Oilers there. They're getting pushed into their own zone before that first goal for the Oilers goes in, but they're keeping them to the outside. It doesn't look too dangerous for the Oil. And then Suter gives that one up, lays on Ottinger, doesn't get him a chance to get his rebound back. I mean, if Suter doesn't fall on him, he's able to just drop the glove hand on that puck, and that play's dead. It's a decent turn of the corner from Perry, but McLeod doesn't have a chance to put it in. And it's a weak play by Suter. I think he's got to be stronger on the puck there. And yeah, just a rough first period from Suter on that one. And he finishes with a -2. The second one, he also doesn't. Obviously, he's going against McDavid. You got to give him a little bit of grace on that, but he doesn't defend it at all. It's like he wasn't there on that play. McDavid will do that, but you got to have, especially after you've already screwed up on one, you got to have a better defensive play than that. And it's the first time in a while that I think Suter has really stunk it up. But boy, did he stink it up when he had to stink it up. My biggest winner for tonight, I'm going to give it to Jamie Benn. I mean, from the get-go, he looked like a star player who wanted to keep going. Even throughout the game, his line of Johnson and Stankoven were the only guys who were able to actually get a little bit of offensive pressure along the boards, win some puck battles, get some pucks in front, get some shots on net. He finished his night with, I believe 2 primary assists, at least 2 assists. I'm not sure if they were primary. I'm pretty sure they were both primary assists though. And he played great, showed some physicality when the Stars needed to try and get some pushback. But I mean, there was no response from the rest of the guys tonight. They got fully pushed around, fully bullied by the Edmonton Oilers. And yeah, this is a rough game for the Stars. You hope that what everyone says, that momentum doesn't continue between games. You really hope that's true, because right now the Oilers are rolling downhill. This is, I believe this is the first time that the Stars have lost a game by more than a goal, sans empty netters, since Game 6 against Vegas. So first multi-goal loss for the Stars, I think, in quite a while. So you're going to hope to see a response. You got to see a response from your top guys. You got to get more forecheck pressure. You got to stay in the zone, get some cycle going. Test Skinner. That's one thing that I hadn't mentioned tonight. It wasn't like Skinner dominated this game. He had a couple of big saves, absolutely, especially when the Stars were up 2-0. He had a couple of big saves to keep him in it, but he looked shaky at a lot of points in this game, and the Stars don't test him. They finished tonight with 22 shots on goal against a goaltender that has struggled this postseason, and that can't happen. You got to get more shots on him. We got to test him more. We've seen a couple of weird goals that Skinner has given up, and we don't even get the opportunity to get a weird goal to go in. So you got to test Skinner more. That really comes from the Oilers playing well defensively, getting the puck out of the zone, and the Stars not able to get any kind of second chances, not able to get any kind of cycle going, though. So it all kind of comes in a loop there, but 22 shots on that kind of goalie is not enough. That's what the Oilers want. Oilers want to keep Stars below 25 shots on goal, and they believe Skinner can get them through that. So really tough there. We'll have Ryan or James back at least on Friday. It won't be me solo. Thank you guys for hopping on anyway. I think we had up to 130 guys just listening to me talk in a closet. So I appreciate y'all joining me on this one, especially after such a rough night. I mean, that stings super bad. Be sure to check out the website, sarcasticremarks.com. It's a way better website than we should have for a small podcast. Really, it is. Go check it out. Ryan did a great job on it. Put up blog posts. That's the first way you can see our podcast getting posted. And it's really just a shockingly good website. I think you should check it out. On that website, you can check out our store, get some free, get some merch on there. We got some shirts and stuff. Check out our Discord from there as well. We've got a link to the Discord. I was on there during this game, just talking crap with other Stars fans. It's a lot of fun in there, and it's a good place to get a little bit closer to this community. And be sure to check out DraftKings. Again, use that promo code THPN, and be sure to wish our Edmonton fans in the comments a good game and a GG for them. So if we got nothing else tonight, I think that's going to do it for me and for me alone. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again on Friday night.